What's up guys, Killian here. I want to show you one strategy for every single faction in the entire game. I'm going to do it in one take. See how it goes. I'm using the sandbox mode here, so it's just messing around, it's not a real match. So we'll start with the Stone Age. The first thing I'm going to show you in the Stone Age, if you haven't been doing it, consider doing it. It's the Stone Age Warrior Rush. So this is how you basically do it. The core things to consider basically is you want to be sending your scout obviously towards your opponent to try to find an opponent. Somewhere along the way you want to find a food source in order for this to be viable. Usually like 2, maybe 3 cows is absolutely more than enough. Then you send your workers towards, let's say we found some here, yeah, where this little stone is. There, we're going to start moving towards there, as close to your opponent's base as possible, but try not to be seen. You also want the fur shoes upgrade. If you can, as early as you can, so you don't end up walking without the fur shoes. It's about the efficiency. Also, if you get attacked by animals, you've got faster movement speed with the workers, you're less likely to die, right? So let's say we found some cows here. We slap down a warehouse and we start basically collecting meat. And meanwhile, you're doing your, you're making your workers, you're building your houses. The usual stuff that you do at the very beginning of the game. Cow is still looking around, etc. And then what you basically do is pretty much as soon as you're ready, as soon as you can, you want to throw down a bunch of fight pits. Let's say I would say a minimum two, but maybe go consider 3. I won't do maths in this video. It's going to be too long. I'm not going to tell you how many workers and this kind of stuff. It's not my style. I'll let you guys figure that out for yourselves. But what you do is you just start pumping out warriors. Make sure you have the rush upgrade as well. And then back at home, you can be making your stone cutter, and the stone cutter would allow you to pick 2 upgrades from here, which is the bone armor and the the fist club upgrades. Why warriors? Yeah, here we go. Strength training and bone armor. Why warriors and why not, for example, slingers? Well, slingers can be easily dodged by any player who's good, and also slingers, maybe they can kill workers if they're not dodging, but they can't do anything to buildings. And whereas warriors can whack workers to make them run away and idle time for workers is basically time when they are not collecting. It's basically as good as killing them sometimes. So they run away, but also warriors can stop and destroy houses. Houses might not sound like a big deal, but at the very start of the game, when you have nearly no wood and you're paying for houses in order to keep making workers, by destroying houses, you pop cap your opponent, and then they end up not being able to create workers anyway. So that's another way of kind of like killing workers. So basically, warriors are the best because they're fast with the rush, and they can destroy buildings and they can destroy workers as well. So I think that's it for stone, otherwise this video is going to be too long. Let's move on to Europe. So you've gone Europe. What can you do with Europe? There's obviously a lot of things you can do, but let's just pick one for now, which is that, let's say you're going to continue. Imagine you did your warriors thing. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe you destroyed an opponent. It's a team game. There's loads of opponents left. Maybe you got some warriors, whatever, left over. You want to start making archers, and you want to pair those archers with any surviving warriors, and you continue the fight basically. You send the archers in, you mass these archers, and you can use them for defense if you need to, you can use them for offense, and then you make sure you get the corresponding upgrades as well from the forge. I say it because it's often forgotten sometimes. So the bowstring and the leather training, and then of course also from the barracks itself, which is, where is it? There it is. The barracks itself, where you're making the archers, you can also get a banded bow upgrade. So make sure you get all of those, because upgrades are super important in this game. And then you want a ton of barracks too, so that you can keep pumping them out. Like I'd say at least 4. Again, I'm not great with the numbers. I haven't played in a while, but as you know, I don't upload as many war selection videos at the moment. So don't quote me on the exact numbers. Go with the vibe. Go with the feeling of what I'm trying to tell you to do. And then eventually these 3 buildings are going to upgrade to barracks as well, so that you can go to the Iron Age. When you go to the Iron Age, you then get the cutting upgrade, the sword upgrade, and you start creating a ton of swordsmen. I know this stuff isn't revolutionary, you've probably seen it a lot in your games, but it works, right? So swordsmen are really good because they can destroy walls. Maybe at this stage your opponents have started building walls, and you would otherwise be stuck behind them. Oh look, this is exactly what I was talking about. 2 cows, and go set up a warehouse there. Of course, if the bear wasn't there, otherwise you'd die, right? So yeah, so you guys, this is a good sort of spot, and hopefully there's an enemy base like right in this fog here or something like that, a little bit further back. Anyway, enough of the Stone Age stuff. So yeah, any Iron Age, and then you just charge in with the swordsmen. You just charge in, and they can destroy walls. That's what makes them great. And the archers are still with them. Don't stop making the archers. You've invested in the upgrades. Don't stop making them. you run in and you support the swordsman. If you lost all your warriors at the start, feel free to make a few spearmen while you're still in the Bronze Age to back the archers as like front line. But once you reach swordsman territory, stop making the spears. Don't invest in spear upgrades unless you're doing some kind of spearman strat. But this is not spearman strat. Okay. So let's say that's worked out, or maybe it hasn't, I don't know. Then you've moved to Western Europe for some reason. Okay, cool. You've decided that you want to, you know, you've aged up. Happy days. What do you do now? The thing is in Western Europe is everything is too expensive. Everything is too expensive to be properly effective. So the best thing you can do is just create the naked forts, you know, like the standard ones. Upgrade all the stuff all the existing ones you have. So you should have absolutely loads. Like I'm talking what we got. We got about like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here. You know, go for like 10, honestly, like because it's so slow to make units out of them. I wouldn't invest in the barracks upgrade personally. It's another 40 seconds wasted. It's more wood, it's more metal. You're better off just making extra forts because even though the time to create pikemen is reduced if you go barracks, you might as well just make extra forts and then you can make more pikemen. You know, it's better. So just spam pikemen. And that's pretty much what you do at this stage. If you're feeling like you need more than that, like you know, and that's okay. You also pair it with where are they? Not trebuchets. Don't even say it. I know someone wants to say it. You pair it with workshops. Maybe make 3 of these. Make some onagers, and then the onagers basically act as your ranged attack and destroy buildings, and the pikemen act as defense for defending the onagers from attack. So yeah, onager pikeman combo is what you do here. Then you can go to abstract. With abstract, the strat that I'm pretty much, you got a lot of options. That's what makes abstract one of the best factions. But I would say the one that I'm going to tell you to do and I recommend is cavalryman. You just spam cavalry and you just charge at your opponent's economy. You find their workers, you find their metal deposits, and you just keep slashing at them. The cavalrymen are fast. They're relatively cheap for an industrial unit, and you just go. You just swarm them in. You keep queuing them, and they just keep coming. You know, as soon as they're ready, you just send them out. You send them to your opponent's base, and they charge in and they do their thing. The alternative strat, just something to bear in mind, if your opponent has like, if you're going Western Europe and you go onagers and pikemen, if you go late Middle Ages, you can swap the onagers for cannons, and that's going to be even better. Anyway, if your opponent has, if you've reached abstract and your opponent has gone the Western European build, for example, that I just told you about, you know they've got no anti-air, so you can go to military balloons as well. Especially if you're really fast to hit industrial, military balloons will catch your opponent off guard. So there you go, that's a bonus strat for abstract, because they're so common. You know, I'll give you 2 for those. Alternatively, you got Great Britain, you go light machine guns, and with the cannons from Western Europe that you still have left over, you just keep those cannons, you pair them with light machine guns, you upgrade as many barracks as you can, get the light machine guns out as fast as possible. And then, yeah, light machine guns and cannons, and then eventually the cannons can be upgraded into howitzers, or to be honest, you don't need to upgrade them. You just make new howitzers from the factories. In fact, that howitzer cannon combo is good enough. Eventually the cannons will die anyway and get replaced. I think, personally, I think it's a bit of a waste to upgrade them, but up to you. The light machine guns and cannons is the way forward of Great Britain. Now we get some difficult territory with Germany. A bit of a considered bit of a worse faction. In my opinion, the best thing you can really do here is create big Berthas to support your team. So it's like super howitzers basically, and you just support your team with Berthas, and you can throw in some Flammenwerfers yourself if you don't have a teammate who's like helping you, whatever. You just you spam the Flammenwerfers. In IR2, they become armored Flammenwerfers, and it's kind of like the cavalrymen, but you turn them into like a snake of production. Just queue them into the enemy base, run past everything. The armored Flammenwerfers will not die like very easily. You reach their base, you destroy everything. It's actually really fun if it works. Just that Germany's really expensive and it doesn't often work. But if it does work, it's really fun. Speaking of bad factions, we've got France here. France is pretty awful. Never go aircraft carriers and stuff. You could try spamming FT-17s if you want to. It's basically like spamming light tanks. You know, it's not the worst strategy in the game, but like you know, if you've gone France, you don't have many options. The only way if you really want to play France, I think the most fun way and the best way really that you can support your team. By the way, in case you can't tell, this video is a team focus. I know in the past my guides have been 1v1 and 2v2s, but I've just noticed that you guys don't really play those modes. Like, you much prefer team games, and that's okay. So we can talk about team games. Anyway, with France, you want a bunch of airfields, and then you want to make this bomber here. The Potez, I think, is the one, unless I'm getting it mixed up. Because I think Goliath is IR2. I think. Basically, whichever the good bomber is, the first bomber that you have access to, you want to create that, and then you basically become like the sniper for your team. It's really important that you use it properly, otherwise you're a waste of space. What you're looking for, let's go to bring up abstract here. You are looking for vision, so basically towers. If you see towers providing vision, especially balloon towers, you use your bombers to bomb it and blow it up. What else can you do? You find enemy factories, kind of like real life, funnily enough. You find factories of production and you bomb them and you destroy them. You find depots that are built next to metal, you know, far from the base. Even if there's got loads of workers like trying to collect, pretend these are workers collecting, you don't need to kill the workers, just destroy the depot. Your opponent might not even notice, and if they rebuild another one, come back and destroy it again. Remember, in industrial, like ever, there's so much chaos going on. Like you are the thorn in their side if you're playing as France. You are the air force, which is just finding those key vulnerable targets and take them out one at a time. It can be kind of fun, and in fairness, I haven't done it many times, but the few times I've enjoyed it. You know, it's not the best, but again, you want to play France, Vive la France, that's an option for you. And that's it. I'm going to make a prediction for Italy. It's not out yet. I'm going to make a prediction that Italy, you can make those planes that drop off troops, kind of like the Gathras of Persia drop off troops. That's just a prediction. Yeah, and I think you're going to be able to drop off those Illumi, you know, those like armored infantry that they've recently previewed. I reckon the strat there is just to drop off that armored infantry next to the opponent's like economy, next to their workers, and just gun everyone down. That's my Italy strat. We'll see if that comes true. Okie dokie, Eastern Europe. So let's go back in time again. Let's say you've gone for Eastern Europe instead of West. Okay, what do? Well, this might not sound particularly exciting, but to be honest, I think the best thing you can really do here is, assuming you didn't go cavalry build in Metal Ages. We didn't talk about that in this video, but you know, those are cavalry strategies you can do. Then you can go light knights, very typical. But I suggest you just upgrade everything to the barracks and you keep making the archers. You know, the archers that you were making just before the swordsmen. You just keep making the archers. Why? Because the archers are really cheap. 60 food and everything else at this age is a lot more expensive. Don't make pikemen, right? Why? You know, look at that cost. You just make archers. Just keep making archers. And support your team, support yourself, and all the leftover resources that you save, you can use that to keep making your buildings and all this kind of stuff and age up quickly. Alternatively, you go into squads, and I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, I think squads are late Middle Ages, I think. But either way, whether they're late Middle Ages or not, eventually you go into squads to pair with your archers, and you can demolish your opponent like that. If you have swordsmen left over because you've kept to your buildings and you keep making swordsmen alongside your archers, like you were doing in the Metal Ages, those swordsmen could just be upgraded into the squads just outside the opponent's base, and then you walk in and you're like a Determinator. They can't just, you know, it's quite good fun now. Squads are almost indestructible. Just watch out for enemy crossbows. You want to snipe them with your own archers so that your squads don't die to them. Anyway, I think that's it for Eastern Europe there. Now we're going to talk about Eastern European tech options. We talked abstract already, so let's talk Russia. So Russia, as you guys probably all know it by now, but you want to be making death sites, and you want to pair the death sites with howitzers, which I'm pretty sure they can make. I'm 99% sure they can make howitzers. So howitzers and death sites, and then you throw in waves of soldiers and partisans on the front to run forward at your opponent to keep them busy. The real damage is the death sites and the howitzers in the back. If your opponent tries to counter you with air, you just make this from the stable, the anti-air Tachanka. It's really cheap, it's really good anti-air to protect your death sites and howitzers. You could do the cavalry strat in abstract with Russia as well, using Red Devils if you really want to. That's a whole other thing. So yeah, Russia got a lot of options. Russia is pretty good. If you go to Industrial 2, just be careful that you have to start making squadron cannons instead of, I can't remember if it replaces howitzer or death scythe. I can't remember which one. But it replaces one of them with squadron cannon, which isn't as good. So just be careful of that. I mean, it still works. It's still decent. You know, I'm not saying don't use it, but it's yeah, just bear that in mind. Okay, let's move on. So let's go to Poland as the next choice here. So I don't use Poland that much, but the one I know of, so you could do Uhlans, which is a cavalry strat. Again, it's very similar to the Red Devils in the abstract cavalry. Or you can spam Tankettes, and Tankettes Chaos, I'm pretty sure, is the right one. And then you just charge into your opponent's economy as fast as possible. And then you just drive past all their army if you can, and just drive into their economy and just shoot as many things as you possibly can, basically. And then you just, you know, you're not like frontline like damage, you're like backline support, harassment, and you know, it's It's like a yeah, it's like a slow cavalry build, but does more damage if you actually manage to make it into their base. And then Austria-Hungary is an interesting one. So I guess what you can do here is just, you've probably seen stuff like this, but people use them quite defensively. They build these Wanderemmers, but you don't have to be so defensive. You can pop them out the ground and then drive them further forward to your opponent. Like, you know, drive forward a few inches, put them back in the ground, right? You know, go forward, go forward. Of course, your teammates are all here. You're all fighting over here. As soon as you think you're not safe, put them all back in the ground. Of course, these are supposed to be at the back, right? Because they have a minimum range. So the fight should be in like the fog here. You don't want to be too close. And then you just keep encroaching on your opponent's base until you just demolish everything and they have no chance. And that's pretty much it. You can do the tankette strat, but with the Kasaba if you want. And I suppose you could use gas mortars if your opponent is something like China with heavy infantry mass. But it's not really that good, to be honest. I wouldn't really recommend. And that is it. Now let's move to Asia. Ooh, this video is going to be long. I should probably split it into a few, but fuck it. Here we go. So you've reached Asia. Congratulations. This faction is far more forgiving than Europe because it's cheaper, so you can afford to make more mistakes, which is why it's more beginner friendly in my opinion. So what you want to do is you want to have like 3 shooting ranges, maybe even more depending on, you know, how far along the game you are. Let's say you've done your warrior strat we talked about. Now you pair them with the archers. Very similar to what we talked about with Europe. There's going to be a lot of similarities here. But you do also want like at least one of these barracks, so that you can have some spearmen on the front line and maybe even some emergency hand rams in case you need to, like, someone's tower pushed you and you need to take them out. You know, it's always useful to have barracks. But more importantly, when you reach the Iron Age, you'll have like a body armor upgrade. This upgrade also helps with your archers. So it's really important, especially because your core unit as Asia Metal Ages is the heavy archer. You're going to spam absolutely loads of these. I mean loads of these because they are fantastic. There's some serious damage and you keep them in the Middle Ages too and you keep going, especially if you're going West Asia. Because West Asia don't have a crossbow unit, so your only chance of countering squads, or if your opponent has tried to go Landsknechts, and they can afford it, then heavy archers is like your only chance of killing them. And also they kind of how you try and wipe out swordsmen and stuff as well. Like they're just like your main thing is Asia. And you pair them with a few heavy spearmen as well, like not as many because you have less barracks, but just like some frontline heavy spearmen, not for damage. Maybe they can do damage and they can destroy buildings if you happen to push and you're that far in their base. But mostly they're just to keep your opponent busy while your archers are shooting at them. So your opponent stays still, like stabbing, the archers are doing the real damage. Okie dokie, that's bronze and iron. Let's move on to Western Asia. So you've decided to go West Asia. Congratulations, you've picked my favorite faction. They're not the best faction in the game by any means, but they are very fun in my opinion. Excuse me. So what you can do here. Well, you've got all your heavy archers, right? Now you use your barracks, you create more of them and you upgrade the ones you have and you spam Azaps. They are the cheapest Middle Ages spear unit in the game and you will spam them and just send them towards your opponent and you'll use heavy archers to back it up. So the strat doesn't change too much. If you need to destroy a building, well, you can have some forward units building towers and stuff, which is helpful because the West Asian towers are pretty cool and like they're fun to mess around with. But because of those workers are probably already on the front anyway, like sort of tower pushing with you, you can build some ballistas as well. Take out your opponent's towers. These things are amazing. I know they're not like as famous as like the rocket cannon and stuff, but they have very high single target damage. So if they hit a structure, they're going to do some big damage to it. So you just need like 2, maybe even 3 of these and you can take things out very, very quickly. Let's test it with this Stone Age Bulwark. Here we go. And oh, it missed. So yeah, sometimes it will miss and that's why you need 2 or 3. Not because, there you go. Yeah, I know that's just a Bulwark, but you get what I mean. Like that's why you go for 2 or 3 and not just 1, because if you miss, the time you have to wait is so long. It's not great. It's redundancy. What you're building is redundancy. Multiple, which means it's not that you want more damage, it's that you want more accuracy. And if you can't improve your accuracy, then you can make more units, and then more units equals more hits overall. So that's what I'm saying by redundancy. Anyway, then when you reach late Middle Ages, simple stuff, you shift to the West Asian cannons, which are fantastic and cheap, relatively speaking. And you continue with the Azaps and the cannons. And then, of course, when you reach late Middle Ages, you can no longer go for heavy archers because you had to upgrade. So you replace them with Sarbaz archers, and you just keep going like that. If you're going to go for Persia as your industrial upgrade, I recommend putting some stables down towards the end of your strategy and maybe even starting to get out a few camels. Because if you go Persia, the strat is to upgrade those camels into Guardians of the Sand, and or if it's like armored Mamluks, you can turn them into Thunders of the Sands. However, you do need an armory first, so you can't do it straight away. And these units are pretty great because they're cheap, they're lightweight. Some people think they're OP, but this is not true because they are quite easy to kill. For example, like a military balloon will wipe them out, right? So you do need to, well, not one military balloon. You know what I mean, right? So you do need to be a little bit careful with them, not to lose them. Obviously, death sides will annihilate them. So, you know, so they're like cheap and efficient, but they can die, right? And what you can do with the Thunder of the Sands is you can move back and kite. So you shoot behind you, and you move, and then you shoot behind you. Or there's a reload time. Watch the reload time on your dude so you don't do what I just did. Yeah, and then you shoot, and then you keep moving. This is better than moving forwards. Why? Because if you're trying to shoot forwards, you have to do this. You have to turn, you'll face your butt, shoot, and then turn, and then chase them. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is they're very bad chasers, but they're good at running away and kiting. And then when you reach Industrial 2, you build the Gatherers, you spam these guys, you charge them into the front lines, try to keep them alive. All you're doing is to deposit the Immortals. You're unloading, see if I can get some Immortals in this, yes. You're unloading Immortals, and these things are pretty great, right? They're basically like better LMG guys. They do expire, and so it doesn't matter if they die, just let them go forward and die. Drive back with the Gatherers. Let the Gatherers this thing recharge to go back up to the top. The sandbox mode is a bit broken, that's why it's showing 0. It doesn't always work. But what will happen is this will recharge, and then when it's recharged, you drop them off again, and you have like as many Gatherers as you can, so you can drop off as many Immortals as you can, you know, and you will just that's the Persia strat. Alternatively, you could go Turkey. If you go in Turkey, depending on whether you want to be like frontline building destroyer, you're going to want to spam these light cannons and just support them with the regular soldiers, or hopefully your teammates can just support you. I'm not a fan of the snipers personally. I don't think they're very good, but it's up to you if you want to pair them with that. Yeah, and then the Turkish light cannons are fast. They're great. Yeah, they're really, look how mobile that is. That's fantastic for this game. So yeah, and the alternative strategy I'll give you is Turkey. If you don't want to do the cannon thing, you can see there's a common theme amongst my strategies I'm giving you. But if you're getting a bit bored of that, you want to mix it up. You can spam top choose. Say that, and these guys will basically rocket launchers on the horses, and they will, you know, murder everything, and then you do economy damage. So do you want to be the front facer? Go for the light cannons. Do you want to be the harasser, back lines? Go for the top choose. You have tons of resources, go for both. Why not? Okay, next thing you want to do is next thing you want to think about is India. So India, really, you want to make elephant machine gunners. It's fantastic. This unit is great. You just make as many of them as you can, and if you've teched into them via West Asia, maybe you've already built the elephant houses in preparation. But if you've teched into them as East Asia, they're even better because you can pair them with hand cannon. Speaking of East Asia, I'm nearly there, guys. One take. It's going. It's not going too bad, is it? If you're enjoying what you're seeing, leave a like on the video. It really helps. Feel free to subscribe. I don't make as many War Section videos, but I do one stream every month where I do giveaways, and you know, we can play together and stuff like that. So, alternatively, if you don't like to see videos from other games on my channel, sorry, but what you can do is you can just join the Discord, or my Discord, and then when I upload you to War Section videos, then I'll tag you guys, and then you'll know anyway. You don't have to sub, although it helps me if you sub. But yeah, consider it. Anyway, so let's say you've gone East Asia now. This one's a bit of a classic, so maybe it's not too surprising here. This is considered the best option you can go in the game right now. Although everything's viable in team games, so don't let anyone make you feel bad for picking anything. You pick whatever you want to have fun, okay? Never let anyone tell you what you can and can't pick. Anyway, so you make a bunch of shooting ranges, and you create archers. So similar, you know, you have the heavy archers from before, and then you upgrade your barracks to, you know, like a little bit like the Azap thing, but you make Ashigaru and Samurai. You don't make as many though. You don't fully spam them. You just make a few, and then you upgrade and you make spam archers. So the archers and then the front line. So like the Metal Age strategy continues, but just you go one age up. And then if you go late Middle Ages, you will be able to get to the best thing, which is your hand cannons, which is a fantastic unit. If you need more fire support on the ground, or your opponent has siege, or you're trying to destroy buildings, just always consider also spamming rocket cannons alongside your archers and your few Ashigaru and Samurai. You don't need them, but they are very cheap. They only cost wood, so it's a bit of a waste to not go for them. You're going to need to make a lot of them because they are quite very bad accuracy. But this is also a strong option. They have good splash, so they're good against armies, unlike the Springald. So yeah, you can spam rocket cannons too. That's an alternative strat. I'm just saying that depending on the stage of the game, how much action there is, you could just get away with just the spamming the archers and supporting your troops, like the front, especially if you're backline. But I don't know, just something to consider. I'll let you choose depending on how it goes. But eventually, you want these beautiful hand cannons. And then, as I said, you can go into India with them. We talked about abstract already. There's only 2 countries left. Oh man, I'm nearly there. So we got China. So with China, you want to basically spam militiamen. You want to spam militiamen. It's so goddamn fun. You make like so many of these. How do you make them? You should make like a gazillion. Like this, it's not even a joke. Like you probably have more than these. Yeah. How do you make them? Well, you make loads of houses, and they come out of your houses. You spam like as many houses as you can. China has extra population upgrades called like tradition of large families. It means they have a higher pop cap than anyone else. And India, China and India. And then you just spam as many militiamen forward as you can, and this, it's like a zombie horde. Your opponent will really struggle to deal with these guys. They cost like 5 food, is it? Yeah, 5 food each. It's absolutely nuts, and they can even like surround tanks, and like the tank can't move, and it's fantastic. It's so much fun. I actually think it's one of the most unique factions in the game. If you don't already own China, consider getting it. I also have some keys I'm giving away in January as well. Check that out. So alternatively, you could go mounted guardsmen and stuff, but just one warning with China: if your opponent has gone Russia and they build the death sites, you are being kind of hard countered there. So your best strategy is to create a foreign supply center. You can only make 1 of these, remember, and you make it as early as you can. As soon as you know your opponent's like gone Russia, you're like, oh, yes. Right? So you make your foreign supply center, and you tech into supplies from France and supplies from Germany, and in IR2, you get supplies from Great Britain and Russia. Research as many of these as you can. They're really, really long. It's your only chance of beating Russia. If you can do it fast enough before Russia comes to you, then you can spam tanks and defeat them that way. Well, maybe defeat them. You have a chance, basically. If you can't research at least 2 in time, you probably are screwed. You could still try. You could try mounted guardsmen, but then they get countered by the death sites as well. So you can't make airfields, I'm pretty sure. Oh, can you? I feel like you can't make airfields. I might be forgetting something, but I'm pretty sure China can't. So yeah, it's tough playing against Russia. So just you want this foreign supply center. That's your backup plan. And then the last faction is Japan, and this is the only time I'm going to mention the water. There's loads of good water strats, by the way. It's just that there's only one strat for each faction. Otherwise, the video is way too long. And I'm going to say Yamato, because why the hell would you not play Japan and use this beautiful, incredible battleship? It's so good. It's like it's got really good range. It shoots the air. It can heal itself, like self-repair. It's just really, really awesome. And I think if you're going to play Japan, it's just a shame to not have considered this. Bear in mind that it is pretty damn slow, but like it's a siege thing. It will demolish any buildings within range. That ball didn't stand a chance. And yeah, so that's my recommendation for Japan. Of course, there are like Fugos and things, and if you're playing them on land for some reason, it's not automatically like game over or anything, but you are at a bit of a disadvantage because they're not ideal. They've got this other strategy where you can spam these light trench mortars, and they're pretty cool, but just bear in mind that they have a lot of counters, and a lot of the units that are meta, like let's say attack ground here, watch this, really quite slow. Imagine there were LMGs here, shooting back. This is what would happen. They would shoot, and then they would all get destroyed, and then maybe you would hit them with your mortars. So, and of course, things like, as we talked about many times, Russia's death sites and stuff, so just want to be careful with that. It can be done. I've won Japan on the ground. I do really enjoy playing them as a faction, but they are definitely not like wrong, so just bear that in mind. And I think I've covered every single faction. If I have not, let me know and I'll update in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed that. As I said, leave a like on the video. I'll have some timestamps on here so that you can find where you want to, if you want to come back in the future and look at it again. But yeah, love you guys, and peace out.